Good evening, everybody. Nice to see a good few in here. Damo's not here, he's driving. I'll just say a few hellos and then we'll get going. Pedro, hello. Gary Tickner, hello. Hope you're well. Tommy G, Ian Fincham, Lee Wilson, hope you're well. Jed Brown, Rob G, Phil with your Yorkshire badge, hope you're well. Jocko Strap, nice name. Johnny P, hope you're well. John B, made it, good. David Scobie, David Harwick, Mr. Kelly, Jim Stanton, Rich Harrison, Mendit, Peter, Neil, Paul, Jim Sagsy, hello. Tony Nicancel, hello. Nick Payne, hello. Martin, hello. John Bell, Daslin, John Seal, Patrick Harvey, BKE and YouTube, Corray, Mark Norton, Frankie, Brian Rendell, hello. Hope you're well. Rob Davis, Zach Crawley, Brett, hello. Matt, hello. Derek Davis, hello. Paul Hallwood, Stu B, Wigan, Mike Manfield, hello. Chris is in. Make sure you're looking at the right games and sheets. Chris, Nick Bryant, hello. Nick Segura, hello. Nitesh, hello. Frankel v. Kalanisi, hello. Well, a very specific name. Right. Evening, Lee. I'm going to issue a few bollockins. Danger of maybe losing my head. This is something new. This is something I want to introduce. I'm of the feeling that although we do the lives and I do the podcasts, probably don't look after our existing members as well as I would like to content-wise and trying to help them understand stuff. It's a double-edged sword. A lot of the time I feel like I'm wasting my time because I deal with idiots, and I'll get to that in a minute. But basically, I want to sort of start doing these, and if this is well received and it will come from your feedback, if you tell me you like them, I will do more of them. If you don't, I will not bother. I'm not going to give up my time for naffle if it's not really getting through or doing anything. There'll be people on here who haven't heard me before or know who I am. I tend to swear. I'm likely to swear tonight a few times. I'm quite brash. I like to say things as they are. I can't stand bollocks. And that's my approach. And I'm 50 plus years of age, and I'm not going to change it for anybody. I'm not here to win any fans. I'm here to try and help the people who wish to bet more consistently, more profitably, do that, and the people who want to fuck about can fuck off. I only really have one thought on everything, and that is that long-term approach works. If we look at football itself, I was having a conversation today with somebody about football management, and it kind of triggered these thoughts again. I thought, if you look at football management, they were talking about Arteta last night and that mob winning 7-1. You know, when Arteta started at Arsenal, if the Arsenal board had acted how some gamblers act, they'd have got rid of him after the first couple of seasons when they were finished 7th, 8th, down below the mighty Spurs. The same with Klopp at Liverpool, the same with Pep in his first season at City. If you look at Everton's most sustained period, it was David Moyes when he was there the first time for 10, 14 years, whatever it was, constantly had them in around the top 7 or 8. If you look at Spurs, whilst I never felt he'd win anything, Poch had 5, 6 years, the most of any reign under Levy, and did quite well. Bottom line with all that, what I'm trying to say is if you stick with something, you give yourself a chance, you keep changing things, it tends to lead to a lack of stability and poor performance. And that's pretty much whatever you do. And unfortunately, in the betting trading world, people tend to change, react to panic, react to individual days, matches, weeks, months, rather than develop a long-term strategy and an approach that makes sense. We do live a world where, you did tell me you do the Arsenal, we do live in a world where bollocks is now talked about most subjects pretty much all day. Punting is well up on that list of subjects people make pointless statements about. Things like 2 weeks of losses, oh well, that's clear, that won't work. And what I want to try and show you tonight is that these tiny, what are actually tiny periods of time in the overall period of things give you no little tiny spells, don't give you anything to the overall answer. A lot of it comes down to things I've covered in the podcast. If you haven't listened to them, you know, I do recommend you listen to the bet slips, the mindset ones. People want to control their bets, they want to control their outcomes. It's impossible to do that in football. People hate losing money, yet make the same mistakes 2, 3, 4 times over. You know, the podcast I did this week where I talk about investing in yourself and the time and what you can expect. You know, if you look at a lot of people who start out, a lot of people on this list of names today, let's assume you came to anything FTS or any of the other sites with 2,000 to bet with as a total. It's not an unreasonable amount of money. Most dive-ins start one thing, lose a few quid, the 2,000 becomes 1,800, then they go somewhere else, lose a few more quid, the 2,000 becomes 1,600, and they just keep doing this. And within a few months, they'll have £1,000 left. Alongside that, they've learned absolutely nothing about gambling, except that they're a loser. If somebody likes me say, hold on a minute, pay £50 a month for 12 months, watch, learn, paper trade, understand. Most go, I don't want to do that. Why would I do that? What am I getting out of that? However, you'd learn how to build systems, learn how to analyze markets, learn how football actually plays out, and that's cost you £600. You now have £1,400. Even if you'd spent a couple of £100 doing test bets, you'd have 1,200 quid to go to war with, armed with the knowledge about what you're doing, and most importantly about how you can handle things, what suits you, and you'd have a clear path forward. So you'd be ahead of that first approach, whatever way you went about it. You'd be financially better off, but people don't want to do that. 99 out of 100 people choose the first. It's the gambling world day in, day out. Lots of reasons for it. Patience, want a bit of adrenaline, desperation, wanting quick money, wanting a quick gambling fix. Could go on and on. When I suggested doing these, I spoke to a couple of people and I said, this is what I want to do. At FTS, we've been online 18 years this month it is. I want to try and get people to see the second approach and hope to fast track some of their experience. That's all I'm trying to do. I probably, for a lot of people, want you to win more than yourself. It's a constant battle. Why do I do it? Is a really good question. Dave says, why? I do like to help people. That's just in me. And it fascinates me a bit. So when I see posts like beginner won't work, it stirs a mixture of emotions in me, a kind of bit of a fascination, some annoyance, admittedly, some thoughts of idiocy. Because I can actually prove to people how things work, but people don't want to sit and go through it. So, you know, it will be interesting tonight to see how many people drop off this. So this one here, we're going to cover this recent spell. I've been posting in the chat room for the last 3 weeks, the goal numbers after a weekend. We're going to look at this spell that we've just been through, where I know a few people have lost money in the goal markets. If you're back in unders, you've probably done well. I'm going to walk you right through. I'm going to walk you through it in relation to how I use the data, my systems, and the effects it's had on me, but how I can continue with confidence, which is one of the key things for you. And hopefully you might learn something to go through. I really don't care people's views on it. I'm simply going to run through it, present the facts and what I conclude from them. People I know these days tend to live in their own little world. And as I say, if this is something that you enjoy and you want me to do more of, then do let us know. Email, let her know. You can like and subscribe. Look at this. Look, it's gone different colour. I thought it was going to be purple today. Look at that. You can like and subscribe. So I'm going to be switching between slides and and spreadsheets tonight. Probably going to take something like 40-45 minutes. I'm going to turn the chat off for a minute, and then I will come back. If I can work out how to turn it off, I will come back and I will turn it back on at the end, just so it's not distracting me while I'm doing bits. So I'm just going to go to that first and try and turn that off, he says. And then we'll go from there. Okay. Right, so let's go through some slides. I'm going to remove me because you don't need to see me for the minute. Here we go. And let's take me out of there. So we want that one. And let's go into this. So just some sort of general notes first is if you are your gambling stresses, and obviously we get a lot of feedback from different people, and if it's really stressing you that much, and clearly with some people it is, the only bit of advice I can give you is stop. I don't see the point in doing something that you don't enjoy or crack on. for the purpose of football punting, things like head to head, I'm going to say it, head to head over 1.5 last X games does not and will not ever work. If you look at the internet as a whole in regards to football trading, it is a graveyard of football traders. I've been doing this online for 18 years. I've been trading full time for 20 years. It's not through luck. If FTS was shite, it wouldn't be here after all that time. Ultimate's been going 13 years in its current form. FTS data, previously FDD, since 2015. It works. People make it work. The shite that people do with heads to heads is never ever going to win. 99% of people lose because they keep doing this shite. It doesn't work. If you want to do stuff properly, don't care whether you agree with me on politics, my bombasticness, or whatever else I'm leveled at me. I'm 53. It's not a playground. This sort of shit doesn't work. It is simple and it is never going to work. You might go, oh, Stoke City, 5 out of 6 last games have gone over 0.5 first half goals, and they happen to have a 0. First half goal that afternoon. That's one game. You can jump up and down, do whatever you like. That is not going to be a long-term successful strategy, no matter who tells you or what tells you it is. It does not work. You've got to understand the numbers, how football works, and have a model around that that operates, and that is your chance of success. You've got to learn something and then don't become one of those people who fail. Less is more. I'm going to show you some stuff tonight, but I think a lot of people, when you have a bad run, and bad runs cannot be avoided, they come along. When you're doing too much, you really feel it. And you've got to bet what suits you. And you've got to take your time out to find out what that is. I don't know what that is for you. I can give advice, but I don't know what, it's pointless me saying to people, lay things at 6 or do this. If they don't like it, you've got to do what suits you. And that's where testing and preparation comes in. So when I talk about pathetic, this is what little message I had. So we run an in-play room. We only started it last year. We're still feeling our way with it. We're moving FTS to some online tools. I think I've put about 4 bets in recently for first half goals or 80 minutes that have lost. It might be 5. And then you get that. Will you ever put a winner in the in-play room? That's the sort of shit that we deal with when people go, what annoys you? That's the sort of shit that I get on a Sunday morning. And I think, what's the fucking point? Because we just deal with fucking idiots. Look at it. It's absolutely pathetic. I'm not even paying for it. It's fucking incredible. Anyway, so what I'm going to talk about tonight are the things that I check in my systems. So you have to know the goal results and occurrence, and most people's thoughts of that are miles out. So the guy who posted the message before, his reality of what happens is football is a million fucking miles from what does happen in football, and he's got absolutely no chance. I like to know my strike rate, and I like to know the average odds I'm working at, and I work through them in that order, because if the goal rate, by goals or results occurrence, I mean, is over 1.5 goals happening as it should, or is it happening less? Are home wins happening as often as they normally do, or are they happening less? Is over 2.5. So that's the occurrence. Then what's my strike rate in amongst that? So what have I historically had as a strike rate? What is it now? You'll tend to find that if goal results occurrences are happening as they should, and your strike rate isn't, then there's something probably wrong with your system and the way it's built. If goal results occurrences, let's say go over 1.5, for example, is down on the mean, your strike rate will probably be down. So the two are in tangent, and you can go, okay, that's fine. So when the goals come back, my strike rate should come back. And the most worrying one is the average odds one, when people go, has the market changed? And markets do change, don't change at the speed or at the level that people think they change. They actually take a long time to react. And I'll give you 2 examples that have happened this season that are really clear. One is my team Tottenham, who have been absolutely rubbish. Tottenham were still priced as if they were a top 4, top 5 team, pretty much right up to February. Only then did the market start to say, actually, this lot ain't pretty good, aren't very good. And Man City was exactly the same. Man City went 12 games. Did they have 1 win in 12 games? And it wasn't until they played Newcastle that they ended up being odds against. Because the market, people are kind of, the whole market tends to go, it's Man City, it's Tottenham, they're better than that. So these things do actually take a time. I'll give you an example of a market changing. When I started, I did lay the draw and nothing else. That became not as profitable because the market shifted. So when a goal went in, it used to go to, you'd lay at 4, it would jump out to 8. Now, if you lay at 4, you're lucky if it jumps out to 5.56. So as a trading perspective, your profit in that became a lot lower. It became something for me. It wasn't worth the time sat there doing compared to when I started out. So these are the things that I check, and I'm going to walk you through that this evening. These are the occurrences that we're going to focus on. And this is actually what happens. I want you to write these numbers down. I want you to memorize them. I did a podcast on them. I did a free PDF with them in. Over 1.5 happens across the FTS winter leagues, 20 leagues. Over 1.5 happens 75.61% of the time. First half goals happen 70.71% of the time. And first half 1.5, those of you who are on FTS beginner, happens on average 34.45% of the time. I want you to really get that and understand it. I'm going to come back to those numbers several times this evening. That is the reality of what happens in football. It's not myth. That is when things have occurred. Anybody can look that up. You can check that data. It's not made up. That is how often things happen. When I've been publishing goal results, and I'm going to talk a lot about goal numbers tonight, and I go this week, football overall averages, and perhaps I should have built on this slide, football overall averages 2.71, 2.72 goals per game. It's been like that for 20 years that I've done this. It has very rarely drifted, and I'm going to show you examples of that this evening. It's not something that is 3.4 one year and it's 2.6 the next year. It's pretty much 2.7, 2.72, 2.74, 2.76. So I've been posting those numbers for the last few weeks in the FTS chat room. I've just been putting them up on a Monday morning after the weekend. And I had a message this week when I did it. And I can't remember what the numbers were this week. I think it was about 2.64. And somebody messaged me and said, does it make that big a difference? And I think this is a really key point. Does it make that big a difference whether it's 2.8 or 2.6? It's only 0.2 of a goal. Let's take a weekend. 0.2 goal drops per game over a weekend. So I went through the FTS advanced sheet and I thought, if we've got all the leagues playing, what's an average league weekend play? There's Friday to Monday night. On average, if all the leagues are playing, it's 215 games. So if we average 2.8 goals a game, it's 602 goals. If we average 2.6 goals, it's 559 goals, 7% lower. It's actually 43 less goals. That's 43 games that might have been over 1.5 first half that didn't go over. It's 43 games that might have gone over 2.5 that didn't. It's absolutely huge in terms of punting. And I can't stress that enough. A lot of the stuff I'm going to talk about tonight, the percentages are very similar. Small shifts create massive differences. To lose 43 goals over a weekend will almost certainly determine whether you had a winning weekend or a losing weekend. Now, my biggest asset in this, I've said, has been staying in the game. That's what I'm good at, because my systems are built so they win when football plays out as normal. So if football averaged 2.71 goals per weekend every weekend, and it broke down as football breaks down, it's about 1.2 first half goals, 1.5 second half goals, 2.7 overall. If football did that every week forevermore, I would win every single week without doing anything. I wouldn't need to change anything, do everything. If football just played out as it should play out, and that's how I build my systems. If you're building your systems where you need football to generate 3 goals per game, or you need your draws to be at 20% when we know that 25% of draws, your system is not going to stand up to long-term scrutiny, because football's not going to fall like that enough for you. So you're just going to have a lot more losing weeks there. So that's something, we'll if people like these things, we can go into building systems and we can talk about that a little bit more, because it'll be quite key. But my systems are built, and when I talk all about, people who've listened to me regularly, I talk about not over filtering, I talk about broad brush approach. My systems win, all of them, when football plays out as normal. If it has 3 goals per game a weekend, I win fortunes. If it has 2.7, I win nicely. If it's 2.5, 2.6, I'm losing, but everything's set up to cater for that, so I don't have to, shit the bed and worry about it. So, and you've got to be able to handle it financially and mentally. It's not just the financial aspect. It's not just your bank dropping down 20%. It's everybody can say, oh, I could lose 20% of my bank. Can you mentally handle that? And that's the key thing. That's what makes people disappear. It's not always just the financial aspect. It's the mental aspect. So what I'm going to do, if you saw the thumbnail for this when you came on, you would have seen a graph on there. That is one of my systems. I'm going to walk you through that. I'm going to go through some numbers. I'm going to share a spreadsheet, talk you through some stuff. It's going to be on screen. I'm going to be talking. You may want to make some notes, and then we can come back and ask some questions. So I'm going to switch to Excel. This baby here, there. I might make it a little bit bigger for you. And I want you to pay particular attention to the top left-hand corner. So this is the sheet that I now use for pretty much all my non-ultimate betting. So I operate ultimate systems, which just operate on Tuesday and Friday. All my other betting I've shifted over to being generated off this sheet or sheets like it. I've got 4 of these. This is my master one, but I've got 4 different versions of it. It was created by my spreadsheet man, Chris. We developed it over several years. It took us 29 goes to get it right to where we wanted to. We added features, added things to it. For those of you who, again, new to me, what does it do? It basically scans the match fixtures for that day against the database, and it pulls out games for me. It tells me, and it pulls them out in either odds brackets, XG mode. So here it's in XG mode. If we take this top line in the over 2.5 market, looking at the odds bracket between 2.26 and 2.5, which this game was in, and it tells me basically in the Portuguese Primeira, when I've got this XG bracket, this odds on match day, there's 43 games in the database, 22 of them have won, 51% strike rate, I'd have won 9 points. So that's basically what it does for a whole load of markets. You can see if I click the markets tab, it does both teams to score, draw, lay, first off 0.5, first off 1.5, home win over 1.5, over 2.5. I'm going to take out the match odds ones and we'll just focus on goals. So bottom left there, just doing that since October 2023, I've been running this. I've got 20,000 matches in the goals market, 20,654 matches. So I'm collecting data a lot quicker than the FTS advanced database, for example. You can see I've got games that come up multiple times. If I just took that sheet, so for those who've been a long time, and I've talked over the years about heat maps, I've talked about odds brackets, I've talked about XG brackets, I've talked about them till the cows come home, and nobody ever gives them long enough. If I had run that scan and done nothing else but put on the bets that it shows up as profitable, so it only pulls them out if they're profitable, I would have had 20,654 bets. I'd have won 311 points back in over 2.5. I'd have won 92 points laying under 1.5. I'd have won 361 points laying under 0.5 first half goals. I'd have lost 156 points in the first half 1.5 market, and I'd have lost 384 points in the second half goal market if I'd had every bet when they all came up. The markets I tend to concentrate on, if I click that, it highlights the back over 2.5, the lay under 1.5, lay under 0.5 first half goals, and back over 1.5 first half goals. If I played those 4 markets in these 20,000 games, I'd have won 609 points. That's a ton of bets, a lot of bets multiple. There have been massive layouts on Saturday to cover exposure and things, but I'd have won 609 points. So before I do anything, my methods work. I absolutely know they work because they're generating huge profit just by pulling the heat maps and the Excel. So those of you who've got those tools, you could go and do that. Take you a bit longer than this sheet does, but I'll talk about this in a minute. And you can make money. The one thing that this sheet allowed me to do, it was enable me to get the odds at 7 o'clock in the morning. And I can go over here. And I can now look at whether the odds have moved in, whether the odds have stayed the same, or whether the odds have drifted. Really important for gold markets, more important than I thought it was before I was collecting this information. So focus on this number here. I'm going to make it bigger still. Focus on this number here. Those 4 markets, 609 points. Now, when I move the markets in, so I only want to look at whether that goal market has been shortened up. The market has told me that it likes it. It's gone down to 8,342 bets. So I've lost 13,000 bets. Why have I lost them? Because the odds have either drifted or they've stayed the same from the morning. Of the games where the odds have drifted in, the market has gone, you'd have won 2,081 points. So by using my heat map info and my odds brackets info, my XG brackets info, and then going, what does the market think? If I'd now bet 8,000 matches these 4 markets, still a lot of bets, I'd have won 2,081 points. All that is absolutely fact. I don't give a fuck whether people believe it or not. None of this is made up. Those results are accurate. I run this every day. There's now other people on FTS who've got this sheet running it, and they will achieve the same success. What you've got to decide is, do I want to have 8,000 bets, 4 bets in a match to generate that points? It looks great, doesn't it? It looks absolutely fantastic. I'll just make it a bit smaller. Until we get to a period such as February, where goals have been down. So I've left exactly the same criteria on, and I go February, I'd have lost 200 points in 1 month. Now, I've run all my stuff. The markets back these markets, and I'd have lost 200 points. So even if you think the stuff I built shit, the markets won. The markets basically had a go and gone, wait, we can't get this right, 200 points. It's all explainable because goals are down. If I go to October last year, so I'll just hide that and I'll go to October last year. Oh, it says I'd have won 523 points. So that would be fantastic, wouldn't it? 523 points. Now the only question I've got to ask myself is, do I want to be winning 500 points 1 month, losing 200 points the next month, and everything that brings with it, and putting a ton of bets on massive liabilities, living on the edge, if you like? And I decided, no, I didn't want to do that. So what I've basically done, I've got 4 of these sheets, and I've built myself a load of systems off them. So they've all got decent names. PM is the game, enables me to pull the matches out in the morning, and then the other one is the results after everything's played out. So I can check the results against what I bet, but I can pull the games out in the morning. So I run that. I've got like 40, 50 systems across all this stuff now. But what I did, I took this info and put it in a pivot table to show you these swings, because I'm going to explain how the goals affect this. And you can see here in February, March, I mean, with second half goals, I lost 543 points. I'd have won 700 points in January, but this is laying all price in the back of lay up to 8, 9, 10, maybe 4 or 5 bets at it, laying 40, 50 points in a game. So it all looks great, but you've got to have some stomach to do it. So as I say, but this is really interesting here, this period where all of a sudden, end up there. It happened again up here in December, where you've just got massive, massive losses. So you go, just imagine if you'd come in and you hadn't seen any of this, and you start betting here, and I go, do this, you go, fuck me, what's going on there? What the fuck is happening? And that's the bits I want to try and explain to you from here. So the chat is on. Before I start explaining, is everybody clear on what I've said and shown so far? Then I'm going to break down and do a bit of analysis on this. If you've got any questions, ask them now, and then I'll give it a couple of minutes. Just takes a little bit longer for your questions to hit me. I'm just looking at that. Told you we do the Arsenal. 100% clear as mud. I need people like you. Crystal, good. Crystal, good, good, good. Right, lovely. Everyone's saying Crystal, so I'm going to take that. If there's any questions, I will come back to them. So one of the systems on this sheet is HODL. So just to show you what can't speak, can't lie, I'll clear that. There's a sheet system on here called HODL. I can click that. The macro will run. And HODL is back in where you could back over 1.5 first half goals. You could lay under 0.5 first half goals. HODL alone has won 525 points if you'd laid these. That's what you look at. Now just to answer Adam's question, no, all the markets I'm checking in here, Adam, are back markets. So the market's moving. I might be placing a lay bet, but all the markets I'm checking. So this is first half 1.5 back, comes in. So I want to lay a first half goal. So just to be clear there, all the markets that I'm checking there are back markets. I do have lay ones, and yes, you would want those to drift if you were going that way. That was Adam's question there, just putting that up. So what I've done now for all these systems is I pull a sheet out, and this is the graph that was on the picture that's got me with my head in my hands doing that. And you can see, fantastic start, bit of a dip, absolutely sailed up, stood still, and then we've hit February, March, and it's come down. So the usual sort of thinking of people I deal with is get to here. Okay, that's been fantastic, Ian, brilliant. And then we get to here and go, well, it hasn't done anything for like 100 bits. All right, everything all right? Everything going all right? And then they get this. Oh, fucking hell, what's going on? Oh, this is shit, isn't it? Well, it's not, is it? Because it's still 99 points up overall. Let's go. Actually, that's the one with no duplicates. With no duplicates, 137 bets by duplicates. I've got two tabs of duplicates and no duplicates. With no duplicates, I'd only ever have one bet. So even if it came up 3 times, I'd just bet 1 point. So you can see here, Cassiopeia for that one would be 3 bets. The same game over here, I'd only have the 1 bet. And it makes like 37 points difference and smooths the ride a bit. But there's a drawdown. If I make all this bigger, all this stuff, again, everything I'm talking about tonight, I have covered across the years in detail. So there's longest losing run is 10, perfectly expected in that market to lose 10 bets in a first half 1.5 market. I've had 983 bets. I've had 410 winners, 41.71% strike rate. I'm just going to fizz these back to you here. First half 1.5, 34.45. That's the average strike rate. Bring this one back. System here, 41.71% strike rate. Average odds of 2.84. It's won 137 points. Its biggest drawdown is 51 points, which no coincidence is happening literally as we speak. And everyone's going, beginner's never going to work. Look at this. So I can look at that, and all these numbers now are dynamic. So I'll go to 2023, and I'll look at it, and I want you to read. These are the 2 numbers to really focus on. This is just what's happened, but the 2 numbers to focus on: strike rate 41.71%, average odds of 2.84. Remember those things that my checkpoints. So I go to 2023, 45% strike rate, so slightly up on the average. Odds slightly higher, so I was betting at 2.94 in 2023, but that's only 125 bets. 2024, 44.63% strike rate, betting at odds of 2.82. So strike rate's pretty much where it was. Odds are 1 tick lower than the average. 2025, strike rate 30%. The average odds haven't changed. 2.84 is the average, 2.86. 30%. I cannot win at 30%. It's simple. That it's absolutely that there explains why the world's fallen off a cliff, because the strike rate is 30%. So everything is there for me. So I look at it and go, sorry, get the graph back up again. Clear that. 30%. Just remember that number. I look at this and go, well, that was all hunky dory. If I can find the graph, he says. I don't know whether it's up or down there. That was all hunky-dory, but this area here is 30%. I'm only getting a strike rate of 30%. I was getting 41. So I can do 2 things now. I can go, well, fuck that, that's gone. That's finished. I'm only getting 30%. I can do what you lot do. I can do what somebody put in the FTS chat room. It's quite clear this isn't going to work. I could do that and throw my toys out the pram and fuck off. Or I can actually look at it intelligently and go, my strike rate's down. I wonder what's causing that strike rate. Has football suddenly changed overnight from Christmas? Football's got up on January and gone, fuck you, I'm going to be different now. My experience of 20 years tells me that's not going to happen, because go back, Premier League is averaging the same goals now as it was in 2003. Everything there is free. You can go to Football 24. You don't need me, and you can take a bit of time and dig. Football hasn't changed in 20 years. It hasn't changed at all. The means are almost the same, and I'm going to walk you right through that now. Kevin Kelly has just made exactly the statement. I'm excited. I'm not despondent. I am excited for what is to come, because I know for an absolute fact that 30% cannot continue. I don't know when it's going to turn. It might be next week. It might be next month. But I am going to make a fucking shed load of money somewhere down the line when that 30% goes back up to 40, 45%, which I'm telling you, and I'm going to show you 100% it will be. And that is what gives me the confidence, and I get excited. And I didn't plant Kevin in there. He's a West Ham fan. I wouldn't do that, but that's exactly it. So I've now got a third sheet, and this is basically all the FTS Advanced data. So those of you who aren't FTS Advanced members, basically it's FTS Advanced, which is all the results. What I've done here is I've taken out all the summer leagues. So I've taken out Brazil, USA, Ireland, Japan, I know they've just started, Norway, Sweden, and Australia, and South Korea. I don't ever bet now in Australia, South Korea, or the USA. I do bet in Sweden, Norway, they haven't started yet. I do have some bets in Japan, not very many. And I don't have many bets in Ireland. So for ease of this and where we are at the moment in the season, I've taken all those out, and I've basically then gone and split it into years. So I've got 2021, 21, 22, 22, 23, 23, 24, 24, 25. I've then just kept them in separate sheets, and then I've gone back and built a pivot table for each season. Again, I'll make them a bit bigger. And if we start at the top, we can look at 2021. Average half-time goals in 2021 for first half goals was 1.2. Average total goals was 2.7 across 6,000 matches. Go down to 21-22. Average half-time goals was 1.23, so 0.03. 2.7 to 2.74 in 21-22. It's not like we're going 2.7, 3.2. It's 0.4, again, over 6,500 games. Go to 22-23. Average goals were 1.23, exactly the same as 21-22. Full-time goals, 2.72, 2.74. I don't make this shit up when I say it. It's all there, absolutely perfect to see it. What people don't like is that average doesn't fall to suit how they want to bet and how their mind works. Go to 23-24, average goals for 1.23, 1.23, 1.23, 1.23. Every fucking year it's 1.23, 1.23, 1.22. It is not ever going to change, I'm telling you. 2.79. Oh, we had a big jump, 0.07 goals. Let's all leap about and jump around. 24-25, 1.24. We've jumped up 0.01. Well, how can that be? And you said we're losing. We'll get to that in a minute. 2.76 overall. We can start to look if we're the keen-eyed ones will spot the last few months. So that's what's happening. And what I've done now with the last 2 years is I've basically gone and broken that down and gone, right, these are the numbers I put on the slides for you. So first half 1.5 goals happens 75.61% of the time. Absolute fact. Again, go and look it up. 0.5 is 70.71% of the time, and first half 1.5 is 34.45% of the time. That's across 30-odd thousand games. Of course, it might move a decimal point or so, but that, again, like the goal numbers I've just shown you, is all pretty static. It doesn't really move much. So if you remember my first half 1.5 system, overall is averaging 44%. I'm well ahead of the game, probably a little bit too far ahead of the game. As a result, I've had to give some back. I'm now running at 30%. The one thing I can guarantee you, I'll definitely get back to 34%, and at 34%, I win. At 38%, I win a load. At 40, I win tons. So it's gonna happen. So these are the average numbers. These are the occurrences per season. So basically, in January, by month, in January of 23-24, sorry, August of 23-24, over 1.5 happened 84% of the time. So if it's yellow, it's above the average. If it's grey, it's below the average. And that kind of then, I can look at those numbers and know whether I've won or lost or not. Grey month, I can look, I'm probably going to lose. Yellow month, around average, I'm going to do okay. Yellow month, 84%, I'm going to be flying. And across for all the markets. But you can see it falls as we'd kind of expect. You've got 1 month above average, 1 month below average, 4 months above average, 1 month below average, 1 month above average, 1 month below average, a couple of months above average. You've then got, I'm going to show you how it's going to improve, Michelle. Just wait. We've got 58.33 there, but that was June. That was June. And only 12 games, so it's not point. So you can see it all spaced out quite nicely in 23, 24. Nothing to really there. You can always expect, a couple of bad months. First half 0.5, exactly the same. 68% in September that would be. 69% then early part of the year, 68% again June, only 12 games. But only, the bad months are just scattered in amongst the yellow months. And the same with the first half, 1.5, 31.75, 30. Then we've got 38, 37, 36. They've been really good months for me. Bad month, they've been, I have got under systems. I'll do questions in a minute. 35, 36, 29, 35, 43, and then again June 25. So that was 23, 24. So look at that. You've got the most we've got there is 2 grey months together in the first half, 1.5, August, September in 23, 24. We then get to 24, 25 and the start of the season. My graph again, 78, 74, 77, 76. They're fine. Good. First half, 0.5. Good. One under average month, above average, above average, above average, above average. First half 1.5, above average, above average, above average, above average, pretty much on average. Now all of a sudden, we've had 3 months on the spin now. 3 months on the spin where the 1.5 strike rate is lower than 75. We've had 2 months on the spin. We've actually had 4 months out of 5 where the 1.5. So the people laying under 1.5 will have struggled. On that, or backing over 1.5. So we've had 4 months out of 5 in the 1.5 market. We've had the last 2 months of the first half goal market. I don't know whether Sam plays, watching Lee Wilson, people who bet in the first half goal market. You've probably struggled a little bit these 2 months because it's not performing to average. And then the first half 1.5 market, FTS beginner, my system has now had 4 months on the spin where it's gone 34, 33, 33 down to 31. Quite simply, based on what we know and everything that's historical and the way football works, and you got 2 choices you can make up. So you can make this one here and go, I've got a question. The set and forget version keeps going down. How can the situation improve? I could go, well, it's never going to improve. That's it. It's gone. I've just shown you there 4 greys. I'll tell you what's going to happen. That's just going to keep going. By the time we get to Christmas next year, that's going to be down at 22%. That, of course, is complete and utter fucking codswallop of bollocks. The only thing that can happen, and I keep saying I don't know when, is we are going to get a tranche of yellow months for first half 1.5, for first half 0.5, and for over 1.5, because we will get to these numbers. Because these numbers historically, you've either got to say football has completely changed, and in which case then make your case and tell me why football has changed. In 20 years, different managers from Ferguson to Mourinho to everybody, football has never changed, but all of a sudden something has. VAR hasn't changed it. COVID didn't change it. So all these things, we're very reactionary these days. One thing happens. A bloke last night posted, how many games has Asensio played for Villa? This is the world we live in. He might be on here. How many games has Asensio played for Villa? 4 games, 5 games? Come on as a sub a couple of times. The best player to play in a Villa shirt. What a fucking statement that is. Peter With, Gary Shaw, Gordon Cowans. That was the statement they put. The best player ever to play in a Villa shirt. That's the world we live in, where everybody reacts to what's happening right now without drawing themselves back and going, hold on a minute, let's take. I am telling you, Michelle, this will not continue and yellow months will appear. I just can't tell you when. All I say to people is you've got to have your money ready and you've got to stay in the game. The people who go chasing and panicking here, oh, it's got to turn around now, and they start throwing more money at it, bigger stakes because they've had a losing run. That's when they do their brains. We've never seen this in these 2 years, but I'll guarantee you if I went back 20 years, there'll be periods of 4 months and 5 months of 6 months of greys in all these markets. Just like if you watch a roulette wheel, there will be 20 blacks come out and there will be 20 reds when people go, that can't happen. You cannot control it. It is all perfectly explainable. We are in this period here. Now, I know there'll be people watching this who go, that's bullshit and that's bollocks, and that's absolutely fine. And you will be the ones who go on and fail in this. I am telling you, that is what's going to happen. And I can go here and click individual leagues and go Germany, for example. And Germany, averaging 3 goals going, 3 goals going, 3 goals going, 2.8, 3 goals going to 2.25. So we all of a sudden saying Germany football is complete. Nobody can score goals in Germany. It just happens. Things just happen occasionally, and you can't control when they're going to happen. But that is how I know that graph is going to turn around, because this strike rate here, but first half 1.5 overall, is going to go up. My method then takes those games with a little bit of refinement and where the market backs them in. So I've had a massive dip here, huge in points wise, 40 odd points, but it can only do one thing. I just don't know when it's going to do it. I might have another 2 months of it. It might be that we do 2 grey months, and then we'll have 6 yellows. I have no idea. What I do know is that football will not revert to first half 1.5 goals happening less than roughly 34% of the time, 35% of the time. It will not happen. And I know that these systems will hit 37 to 40% strike rate, just not at your liking, not within. Oh, I've had 10 bets this week. You said there'd be 37% strike rate. I lost 8 of them. That's only 20%. What can you do about it? What I want to explain to you is I don't go into anything I do arse about face or without numbers backing up. I've said so many times, it's numbers that back all this up. It is the numbers that tell you. We are currently in a bit of an extraordinary period. It is just football. It is not anything else. Nothing is happening in football to change it. It is literally the fact of the matter that, and I get it when you live in it. If you've not been, somebody made a really valid point to me. If you've not been in this period of it and you join here, this is horrible. And I fully get that. And I feel for the people going through it, because that is what you're having to go through. But I am going to tell you that you've got these coming. And that's statement again I make all the time. Nothing loses forever, nothing wins forever. For me to expect that to continue going on up here out the top of the screen would be absolute madness. For you to expect that to keep going like that is equally as mad. It will do exactly what it does in relation to how football falls. I don't change how football falls. It will go up and down, up and down, up and down, but it will continue on an upward curve. And we will get more goals. It'll come, And I think the thing that we've seen recently is normally when these things happen, when you get a variance in the numbers, is you see that Germany or the Premier League or Holland bail it out. So you kind of think, oh, I had a really bad time. You hear it quite a bit on the FTS chat room. I had a really bad time in Belgium, but Germany did okay, or Holland did okay, or England did okay. What's actually happened for the first time in quite a while, and it has happened before, is all the leagues have been shit. I always used to look and go, well, Germany's always the one I kind of rely on. Germany's been shit. Germany two's been shit. Italy's been shit. Spain's been shit. All of them together. Holland, I put a thing in the room, and you go back and put those, and I put underneath it. When Dutch football's only averaging 2 goals a game, you're in trouble. But it happens, and what I'm trying to show is there's numbers behind everything. Football will fall within those numbers. You trying to change it or move is exactly, and as David says, there's a dip here. It's gone down 20 points. It happens. This is a bit extraordinary. So I was due a correction, but I do get it. If you come in at this level and it does that, of course it's horrible. I don't enjoy it. I don't sit there and go, whoopty fucking woo, I've lost 40 points and leap up and down. I go, I could do with this turning round, but my banks and everything are built to sustain it. You've got to strap yourself in. And if you genuinely want to do this, you've got to prepare yourself for it. That's what you've got to do. Unfortunately, go back to the point when people go, oh, haven't you put any winners in? They don't understand football. They don't understand betting, and they make no effort to. That's what annoys me. They make no effort to understand it. I put a lot of time into what I do. I work very hard. what annoys me is the people who don't put any effort in, and then all they do is fucking whinge and moan when things aren't happening. I am telling anyone on FTS beginner that those results will turn as these results will turn. I cannot tell you when. I wish I could. I wish I could go tomorrow, you're going to win 10 points, but I can't. What I know I will do is I will get up tomorrow and there's no football. I'll get up Friday and I'll put all my bets on, and I will get up on Saturday and put all my bets on. So Mark Kitchen has, let's just go through some of these. I'm going to come back in. You can feel free to ask questions. I'm going to go and catch some of these up. I'm going to bring that screen out. I'm going to put me in. Where's that? There. Remove that. Hello, I'm back. There you are. You can see. Look. Right. So I'm just going to go through some of this. So Michelle's I've done. Too picky. Wouldn't it be useful to have some under systems to smooth out the sort of like I do? I have under systems. You know, that again is you putting together your portfolio. Most of my stuff is favouring goals, but I do have under systems. Back in under 1.5 goals, I've got a couple of those. And yeah, of course they do smooth it out. That's just putting together how you want to bet. That goes back to what I said at the start. You've got to decide what suits you. Recency bias is strong. Any suggestions for who actually have tried to compound their bank? Yeah, you do. Yeah, I mean, bank setup is that's the thing. You know, I can only use the phrase I've always used. You've got to be absolutely bomb-proof and expect anything. You do this long enough, you see absolutely anything. You see everything. And I'm sure people who play poker and things will go say exactly the same. You just see absolutely everything. And you've just got to set yourself up at the start to be absolutely bomb-proof. And unfortunately, people dive in with too much money straight away. There's nothing wrong. You know, my pod yesterday, starting small, or Tuesday, whenever it was, start small. We should get small goals, and we will. Everyone thinks, and this is a really valid point, everyone thinks they can handle variance until variance arrives. That's exactly right. And that again comes with people spending longer testing, people doing smaller stakes, all the stuff I've talked about. So mentally need to get tough and understand about riding the waves of variance. You can't change the losers. That's the thing. If you try and operate out of football's natural numbers, all you're actually going to do is create artificial stuff. So this I just showed you over 3 seasons now. My numbers, they don't vary very much at all. The average odds stay exactly the same. So I'm not betting in a market that's different. I'm just following football, doing what football does. And I'm not trying to beat that. Of course, I have to mentally handle it when it's doing this, those drop downs, but I'm not trying to beat it. I'll just go, that's football doing what it does. And I'll go back to one of the key points I've said tonight, and I don't know whether people will pick up on it, is my systems win when football is performing at its normal. And that's what you've got to build your stuff to do. If you're building your stuff where football is performing abnormally, so you've got to first, you know, this is why I talk about understanding markets, watching markets, understanding strike rates. That's why I make PDFs on how many type goals happen that you can go and get for nothing and actually download it and have a look. That's why I make that stuff, so that people go, oh, hang on a minute. Yeah, I think that if you think that over 2.5 happens 65% of the time, you're only going to be disappointed, because it doesn't. So you've got to operate where over 2.5 happens 46% of the time. You can see that it happened before. Ludus should be, yeah, all good stuff and brushed aside. Any feelings on how the current goal drought impacts lay the draw markets, if at all? The less goals in a game, Mark, the more draws you're going to get. Obviously, if you've got no goals in a game, it's 0-0. If you've got 1 goal in a game, it's 1-0. If you've got 2 goals in a game, you've got 1-1, 2-0, 0-2. The more those goals go up, the more score lines you've got against the draw. You start adding in 2-1, 3-1, 4-1. The number you'll only ever have 1 draw, but you're adding in more score lines than it can be. So the less goals in a game, you know, the less goals historically over a period, the more draws you will get. As the numbers of goals go up, the less draws you will get. Every loser takes there. You have to have faith in yourself. Yeah, you don't. Yeah, you have to keep yourself and belief in yourself. That's exactly right. And you've got to set yourself up properly to start with. But can the same analysis be applied to match odds stats? If not, but yeah, we can do. As I said, I'll go back to what I said at the start. If these things go down well, then I'm happily do more of them. But I'm not going to sit putting stuff together and wasting my time to deal with idiots. I'm now going to go into one here just for the next one. So when I say I've got 30, 40 systems, I don't lie. You can see it's all in there. And Jim Mackerel, you've just asked me, you need a system called Clements that will sort things out. At the top there, my dear friend, is, oh no, hang on, you can't see it. Let me bring that in. There you are. At the top there, my dear friend, Clements. There you go. Clements, Crooks, Dyson, Brook, Klinsman, Lacey, Anderson, Ardiles, Bale, Falco, Genola, Hoddle, Houghton, Loris, Torsvet there. So, yeah, there you go. Right, let me take that one out and move to some other. Remove that. I mean, you got to understand football's weird. Arsenal scored 7 last night. Trust the process. Such a good illustration. This graph very similar to beginning to lay the draw. Yeah, it is. If your average lay odds are between 5.5 and 6.5, should you be laying than greater than 7? I wouldn't lay greater than 7 personally. And again, obviously, it depends there what you how you bracket your odds and what it's built on, what odds brackets you built in, because obviously those percentages will change slightly. That's the overall, but you're going to get more goals in games, for example, where you've got odds on favourites or short odds on 2.5. So when I go into my odds brackets and things, that's the steps I'm taking. I'm breaking down football overall into defined odds brackets, and then I'm really rigid to them. I stick to them. Jim Mackerel legend, there you go. Irony, that was there was a penalty in Spain missed just now, and we don't need. See, Nick, you're just trying to cajole me. If that was Thursday, you'd get a mention on Friday, but I might have forgotten it by Friday morning. We do not need an orange what's it with a blonde syrup system. Right, any other questions? Can I ask that you like and subscribe, please? The NNIA sheet, so the sheet I showed at the start, that is available in a course. Hold on a minute, we can add that to stage. There's a couple of guys who use it. That's their feedback, not mine. It is absolutely brilliant. This is for people who are really serious and want to take it to another level. If you do want to do that, you can drop an email to Kerry. There's a course and everything I've built, but as I say, that is for people who really get the game and want to improve. It's not something that's widely available. Let's take that out now, remove that, take these banners off, like and subscribe. Oh, there we go. Really useful session, fantastic. Have you tried the opposite change when lay over 3? Yeah, I've got lay systems. So on that sheet, as I said, I've got 4 versions of it. I just picked one and I wanted to particularly use the first half 1.5 market because it is FTS beginner, and I know there's other people who've been in that market. And I know it's easy for me to say it will turn. As I say, I don't know when, and that doesn't take away the pain of losing or going through bad runs. That's all part of the mental battle of this game. As I said, I don't enjoy it. I look and go every Monday, fuck me, I could do with some goals this weekend. And you know, I can't control when they come in, but there'll be some golden months ahead. And the overriding point is, if you've done everything properly, giving up is absolutely a waste of time. And that's why it's easy for me to say to people to continue, but the points of sessions like this is to try and show you the numbers behind it so that you do stay in the game. Because that, you know, if I go back to what I said, why am I here? Because I've got the ability to stay in the game. That's why I do it. I don't blow my money out. I try and stay in the game to wait for when those good months come. Right, on that note then, thank you for the feedback. Any emails and questions and things, drop in. I will do another one on match odds. I will do it in a couple of weeks' time. So we'll do a similar sort of analysis. Let's perhaps in the international break. I'll do one, and then we can move. You know, there's other stuff I can share with you. I just wanted to do it in this way so that you know, you got an example to see stuff and ask questions. So I appreciate you guys giving up Wednesday night. I know you want to go and watch Champions League football. I've got no interest in that. Paris versus flipping Liverpool. Could you think of anything worse, eh? But have a lovely evening. I'll be back online on Saturday for those of you who come along, and I'll thank you all for attending. Cheers, guys.